What is a silly lie you once told, and you are in so deep that you have no other choice but to uphold it? Not me, but a girl I became friends with on a study abroad trip to Japan got asked by her host family where she was from. They misused English and it came out something like, "Where did you leave from?" Instead, being from the middle of New Jersey somewhere, she answered Newark, which was where she had departed from. Of course, these nice people from rural Japan, having never heard of Newark, heard New York. They were so excited that they had gotten a host kid from New York City that they promptly told all their friends all the time over the course of the month we were there. She never had the heart to correct them, so for that month she was a proud New Yorker. This reminds me of the first time I went to Newark. I seriously thought they were talking about New York, because I was trying to get back to New York. That I could play the piano. I never thought it would come up and that I was safe with my lie. It did come up, more often than I thought it would. I had to make up an excuse to not play, and people started to think I was lying about know how to play. Eventually I took some lessons so that way if it came up again I could actually play something and not look like I'm completely full of crap. It paid off, and after I moved from that area I never told anyone I could play piano again. I'm imagining you playing hot cross buns to prove you could play. There is a guy who I used to work with at a corporate chain steakhouse while I was going to college that had bit of a whopper. We stayed up all night partying and he didn't wake up in time for his opening shift the following day. When he finally got up he was 2 hours late and had a grip of missed calls. He was about a month away from graduating and had worked the same job all through college. So he was worried that he was going to get fired and wouldn't be able to use the job reference, so his solution was to call in and tell the boss he had been in a car accident on his way to work. Now this temporarily solved the problem, but to really sell the story he ended up hiding his truck in a friend's garage and working his next 4 weeks of serving shifts with a fake full arm cast. Brandon, you're a freaking legend. Brandon sounds like a god. When I was 10 or 11 I was living with my dad for a little while and told him I could see auras, like colored energy around people that corresponded to whether they were happy or healthy or unhealthy, etc. Around that time he liked to take me to the racetrack to watch horse races. He liked to bet causally. I liked the horses. He was a little bit at a loss as to what to do with this young girl who had mostly grown up with her mom. While we were there I told him I could see the auras of the horses and picked one I thought would win because its aura was so strong. Actually I just thought it was the prettiest. Turns out it was a total long shot and won the race. After that he would take me to the racetrack every weekend to pick horses, and I had to continue to pretend to see their auras. He lost a lot of money that summer. I once got sort of unapproved access to a VIP area at a venue, and the person who got me in probably would have gotten in trouble if it was found out that they did. A fairly major musician was playing. This was the lounge area where their family and friends were watching the show, only about 20 people. When people asked why I was there, I said I was related to the owner of the venue. Figured this was boring enough but would stop the questions. Instead, this really nice group of people all started complimenting me on the venue and talking to me more about it and my family. They were really awesome people and we chatted the rest of the evening. They invited me to spend the upcoming holiday weekend at their beach house with the band. I did. No one ever found out I have no connection to the venue and don't even know who actually owns it. When I was 10, another kid on my school bus asked me if I played World of Warcraft. I lied and said yes. I spent the entire rest of the year, before and after school on the bus, talking about a game I never played in my life. One day, I was invited over when he made me log in. I entered some account and claimed I forgot my password, spending the next 30 minutes trying to debug by resetting a password to an account that doesn't exist. Haha. Oh my god. What was I doing? My boyfriend, now husband, told me he went to grad school but never graduated. I found out around 10 years into us dating that it was a giant lie he had said to impress me. The only reason he came clean was his mother found out and told me. Used to get my nails done when I lived in China with a friend. We told elaborate lies about her rich husband and my useless boyfriend to the ladies who did our nails as a way to practice vocabulary in Mandarin. I was leaving in like a few months so it was easy, but she had to find pictures of babies and weddings and dresses to use. I just had to remember that my BF was a doctor and probably cheating on me and she had to choose baby names. That's better than my friend who implied that we were together to our nail tech. I facepalmed when she did that. I told my friends I was colorblind to only the color orange. For some reason they all believed me and would point out orange things to me and laugh at me while my girlfriend and I would be laughing on the inside. You should start occasionally bumping into orange objects to up the ante. Last year on the first day of a month-long rotation in medical school, I was telling a story and accidentally referred to my dog as my daughter. Quickly did the mental evaluation of how embarrassing it would be to correct myself versus rolling with it and just decided to go with it and pretended I had a kid for the rest of the month. I didn't purposely bring it up or anything, but if someone mentioned it, it was October, was asked about taking my kid trick or treating etc. I would just vaguely agree and not elaborate on anything. I can't think of any really big ones, but there's one weird one. In college, a group of people I didn't know well were talking about this guy they'd gone to high school with who looked exactly like me, to the point that they were convinced I was him fricking with them by pretending to be someone else. The only difference was that my doppelganger wore glasses, and I didn't. So in order to frick with them a little bit, I said that I'd worn glasses in high school, but didn't anymore. I'd never worn glasses. One of the people there that I did know well remembered what I'd said, and didn't believe me, so the next time she bumped into my best friend from high school, she asked whether I'd worn glasses. He backed me up, instantly. I figured he'd just figured something was up and decided to back me up. A decade later, with the acquisition of good vision insurance, I had my eyes checked and actually did wind up getting glasses, with a very mild prescription. Upon seeing me with them for the first time, my best friend said, "Oh wow, I haven't seen you with glasses on since high school." I've never been sure whether he backed me up and then somehow internalized that backup and then really believed that I wore glasses in high school, or whether he just always somehow believed that I'd worn glasses. I've chosen to use it to very subtly frick with him by photoshopping glasses onto my face in old pictures that he's going to see. I did it recently when his sister asked me for some photos to use for his upcoming wedding. It'll probably never actually pay off, but I privately think it's hilarious. I can sympathize with the guy. For some reason that I don't understand, I can never remember if people were wearing glasses or not. I can remember that, factually, X person does not wear glasses, but when I picture people's faces, I can never remember. I'm not sure if this counts, but the girl at the front desk of my gym has been calling me Justin for like 6 years. My name isn't Justin. Guy on the bus to work started calling me Mike one morning and I should have told him that wasn't my name, but I secretly liked it. 18 months later I still haven't told him. I even had to warn my daughter, who started getting the same bus as me in the morning, what had happened. She found it hilarious. I'm in too deep now. Mike is now my name for 40 minutes every morning, Monday to Friday. Not me, but 3 years ago my mom came home with a cat claiming she found her in a dumpster near a CVS. 2 years later she told me that she actually went to a shelter and adopted the cat, only making up the story because my stepfather really didn't want another cat in the house. When I was dating my husband, his mom wanted us to stay the night. I really didn't want to. Told her I needed to go home due to not feeling well and thinking I had a fever. She offers me Tylenol and I said I couldn't have it because I was allergic, not sure why I said it. Anyways, my husband overheard it and I later didn't want to tell him I had lied to his mom. We're married now. I recently had to go to the ER due to breaking a bone and was in so much pain I couldn't talk. He told the nurse I was allergic to Tylenol. He then went to my surgery and doctor's appointments with me after that, and I had to continue to say I am allergic to Tylenol. My Tylenol allergy is now all over my medical records. People outgrow allergies. I did with caffeine. One day just tell him you took some by accident but you didn't have any bad effects. If you don't keep any in the house. Say someone at work gave you some but you didn't know it was Tylenol until it was too late. My first job out of college was in local government where I worked pretty closely with a bunch of elected officials. Being 22 I was pretty intimidated at the time and really wanted them to like me. Somehow one of them got the idea that my name was Chris and it is not Chris. That guy called me Chris for 6 months before he lost re-election. Long ago, Discovery Channel had a special on prehistoric pigs. It aired on the 1st of April, and being a 12-year-old who was smart and knew how to think critically, that is, didn't think to look into the special and find out if it was the real deal as I thought I knew everything. I assumed it was a joke show put on by the channel. A few months later, they re-aired the special. My dad happened to be watching it and, nerd that he is, called me in excitedly to show me this prehistoric pig programming. I scoffed and said, "Dad, it's fake. It was made for April Fools and now they're showing it again." "Oh," he said, and laughed and laughed. Here's the thing, I was wrong. The show was about a real animal that really existed. I discovered this a few years later on the internet, but by now my dad had started using these fake giant pigs as a conversation starter. Not only that, but he's flipped the story a bit. Now he's the one who saw the show on the 1st of April, and 23 years later, the man still brings up this freaking show because he thinks the idea of what he calls dinosaur pigs is hilarious. I thought of telling him, but it's too deep now. I go to my grave with this one. An older man at the church I go to misheard my name as Rachel. When I tried to correct him, he didn't hear my actual name. He later had his wife approach me and ask my name. I just said Rachel thinking it would be fine. They told the entire church my name was Rachel and it stuck. I'm 8 years into this Rachel lie in a church. Great. She's not Rachel. Not me, but my hairdresser told me this a few months ago and I couldn't stop laughing. A few years ago, he and his girlfriend, at the time, went on vacation to a resort somewhere in Spain. On the first day of arriving, they got talking to another couple they met in the hotel and just for a joke he pretended to be American by putting on an accent. He's English. He said he wasn't even sure why he did it. He was just goofing around and he thought he'd never see these people again, so it was just a throwaway thing. However, they ended up being pretty good friends with this couple and saw quite a lot of them over the course of the vacation. I guess it would have been too embarrassing weird to come clean and tell them the truth, so he just had to go with it and put on an American accent every time he saw them. For a week. In addition to this, he was also going through some problems in his relationship. Can't think why. So basically spent the whole trip either arguing with his girlfriend or having to get in character and pretend to be American for no other reason than his own stupidity. He said it was the worst vacation of his life and was more stressful than being home at work. One of my colleagues, as a way to mess with her in-laws, decided to tell them their son, her husband, was obsessed with Elvis and would love Elvis related presents for Christmas, birthday, etc. He has no interest in Elvis at all, but through politeness did not question his parents when they suddenly started giving him Elvis albums, movies, t-shirts, mugs, etc. Well, it's 20 years later, their house is full of Elvis memorabilia. His wife still thinks it's hilarious, and he's too far into the prank to correct them. Told my husband when we first met that he couldn't talk to my grandparents because they only spoke German. They did speak a lot of German, but their English was fine. I just didn't want them to know I was seeing an Irish Catholic guy. They were very strict Lutherans. Now I'm 20 years into the marriage, and so screwed. Tell your grandparents that your husband doesn't speak English, but only speaks German. Then they will only talk to him in German. Explain to them that his English is very poor, but he still tries to use it. If he attempts to say some nonsensical English sentences, they should ignore him and focus on trying to communicate in German, which is at least better than his terrible English. You've encountered the lost treasure of Captain Gus Fishhead. Subscribe to receive some of his gold. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.